You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids. Good morning, Kit Hughes. So lovely to see you today. Welcome to episode number 29 of the Not Quite Daily Beaver Morning Show. Today we have more than just a nibble for you, for those moments when you want your beaver grizzly goodness to get your day off with a little bit of sparkle. Today, recording day is Friday, December 16th, 2022, and it will be a slightly above zero day here at the Beaver Lodge after getting a decent amount of snow yesterday, but nowhere near as much, at least here in the city, as was being called for with the warnings we've had. Although I see that Hughes saying that he'll be working from home today because he has to blow out the yard. So yes, we got snow. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, and I am just delighted that you have joined us for our morning show today. Of course, a big thank you goes to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, from whom I hear there might be a volume 4 coming very soon. Keep your eyes open for that, kits. And CanadianTarot.com. Oh, Kit Hugh says, "'Tis a mess here." Good morning, Kitty Lane. Good morning, Kit Ashley. Oh, how lovely to have you with us. And of course, good morning, Kitty Lane. Ooh, there's lots of O's in that good. Maybe that means you're feeling better. I hope that's what it means, slowly but surely. And of course, no morning show is complete without saying good morning and good day to our podcast's fine and furry friend. Good morning, Mr. Grizzly. How's your mental health today?
Good morning, Mr. Beaver. My mental health is pretty good today, I think. I will admit, when I woke up on the couch at 4 a.m., and I don't know how I got there because I did go to bed. I remember going to bed at around 10:30. I went to bed relatively early because I was pretty tired and had a relatively emotionally taxing day and evening, which I'll tell you about in a sec.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I went to bed. I fell asleep as a normal human being would do. And I woke up on the couch at 4 a.m. and I have no recollection of how I got there. So we're off to a flying start thus far.
Ooh, sleepwalking?
Well, I've been prone to do that throughout my life, so it's very well could have been the case. Or I don't know. It happened. But
Okay.
it was day 2 of board meetings, so that kept me very, very busy. And then I had to just when I thought, okay, board meetings are over, and I can take care of a couple of different things, troubleshoot a few things. I found one of our meeting rooms was offline, so I had to go and spend more time than I care to mention about trying to get it back up and operational. I found the culprit, and I've got a patch in place. So that was my work day. And then, I got home and, I did a little bit of work and I was editing some stuff. And then I suddenly got I got a text message from a buddy. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, I'm just doing some edits. And he goes, "Our friend is here." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, there's a thing going on and he's here at the pub." I'm like, "I'll be there in 2 minutes." So I literally dropped what I was doing and rushed over to see a friend of mine who I've talked about in the past. He is stage 4.
Mm,
So the chances of me seeing him again are slim.
yeah.
But he looked amazing. He looked great. He's in great spirits. He like you would not know this man is sick. But he had said, my wife and I are going on this trip after Christmas. We're going away for about a month with a big group of friends, and I hope to see you when I get back. And we hope he's still with us, but we know he's it's inevitable, right? It's inevitable for every human being on Earth, but his time is much shorter than the rest of us, and he's aware of it, so he's making the most of it. So I complete respect for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's not easy.
Mm. No, it isn't. And like I said, my mental health is good because we had talked about him the other day, and I was like, I wonder if I'll ever get to see him again. And lo and behold, I did, and um, I'm I'm pretty good with it. I was hope to see you soon. Genuinely mean it, and the sentiment is real. I hope to see him again. Who knows, right? But
Yeah.
getting that opportunity to express, um, how much the friendship means, and the fact that we're all well aware. It was like, good to see you, buddy. You take care. Hope to see you again. You're right, Hugh. I'm gonna put that up. Every day is a gift. You are right. You are absolutely right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, living with gratitude and all that good stuff, right?
Hmm.
Waking up every
Oh yes,
morning happy to pop out of bed and grateful for that.
a
But
bad day is better than no day, right?
right, right. So I hope it for you too. I hope that you get to see him again as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Um, Mr. Grizzly, there's a lot in the news, but you
Yeah.
usually like to kick us off with a little something. So if you got something,
Well,
please.
I've got this. The Ryan Reynolds. We all know he's bidding, or he wants to be part of a consortium as a new ownership group for the National Hockey League's Ottawa Senators, and he says if he's part of a successful bidding group for the Sens, he said he would be a frothy, rabies-infused fan, the likes of which the NHL has never seen. Now, I think that's awesome for a lot of reasons. One of them being Gary Bettman had said, uh, whatever ownership group purchases the team, he strongly recommends they bring Ryan Reynolds in as part of the consortium. And I'm like, well, of course. I mean, you've got a Hollywood movie star who is one of the biggest movie stars in the world, super popular guy. Everybody loves him. He talks about his anxiety and how it can control his life at times. So, I mean, this is a dream spokesperson for your franchise. A good Canadian kid that everybody loves, ridiculously good looking. I mean, I'm not gay, but you know,
You're human.
I'm human.
If you don't think that, I mean,
I would.
you
What I'm
have a
saying that
pulse.
well, it's not the whole I'm not gay, but I find him attractive. That's not it. I'll tell you if a man's good looking. Period. That's I'm not gay, but I would. I would.
Ah, okay.
That's what
He's
I'm getting at because
oh,
he's
he's
that
the
good
exception
looking.
that confirms the rule.
Well, it's him and Idris Elba. Those are the two, right?
Yes, yes. You, sir, have very, very fine taste.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
uh, yeah, I have. Every now and then, I think I wonder about the other way. It's like because you know, like you, I am human.
Mhm.
Even though I bat for the other team, I can appreciate a very,
Beauty is
very,
beauty,
very
right?
good-looking woman, right? And I remember one day walking down the street and I saw this woman in this dress that was just perfect for her,
Mhm.
right? All, as Megan Trainor says in her song, all the right curves in all the right places, and it's like, oh, girl, you are hurting me with that dress,
Yeah.
hurting
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So yeah, and there was one time actually I remember I was in Romania with Alex, and there was with my beaver sweetie, and there's this woman. She was just walking. She had just this black, almost like no curves, like just straight down dress that went down to about her ankles, and just with just little straps, really, really thin, and just some beautiful sandals and long hair, and that's it. Just that perfect silhouette. And she was just walking, and I was like, "Holy crap, you are gorgeous!" I actually stopped dead in my tracks and like just
So
watched her walk like for about a minute and a half.
kind of like it- I mean, this is we're going. This is not
No,
our show. This is not part of our show. But
that should be
I
tomorrow.
mean, I mean,
Yeah,
God
hello.
damn. Uh,
No, that's a woman.
Christi- that's Christina Hendricks, right? Formerly of Mad Men, and what's the other show she has on Netflix? Something
I,
Suburban Housewives, and they start laundering, counterfeiting money and laundering money. Anyway, it's an interesting show. I can't remember the name of the program, but there was an episode of Mad Men when they talked about they were coming up with a new ad campaign, and in the ad campaign they go, "Are you a Marilyn or are you an Audrey? Like, are you Audrey Hepburn or Marilyn Monroe
uh,
for the type of lipstick?"
yes.
And the character that Christina Hendricks played is Joan. I can't remember Joan's surname on the program. And they looked at Joan and go, "Is she a Marilyn or an Audrey?" They go, "No, more like is Marilyn a Joan?"
Ooh.
Right?
Is the show Good Girls?
No, Good Girls. Yeah, that's the program. Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Mm. All right, kids. Anything else for us?
I think that's a good start to the day.
That's a beautiful start to the
Oh,
day.
wait, I have another one here. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious. I don't know what else to say. I'll share the screen quickly. It's
Okay, doke.
just a whole bunch of pictures of Christina, but it's this one particularly right here. Oh my goodness gracious.
Va va voom.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Whoa, what
wow.
happened there?
Oh, that's just a slideshow of her. If I do the slideshow, we'll be here for a
Yeah,
day.
no, but no, it's just like that cropping of that photo. That was some major boobage right there.
Yeah, they
Woo.
just like,
Yeah, no,
um,
she's
did you
very
know
beautiful.
she's not a natural redhead either? And she
Really?
said, "Oh no, she's been dyeing her hair since she was a child."
Oh,
Same
wow.
with Emma Stone. She is naturally a blonde woman, but she's been dyeing her hair red since she was very very young.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah, I
would
have
have never guessed.
a lovely friend of mine also. Uh, you meet her. Oh yeah, like freckles, fair skin, pale, the whole bit. Nope, she's not a natural redhead. Her hair's dark brown, but she's been dyeing it red since she was young because it completely suits her.
Mhm.
I won't say her
Mhm.
name because she'll kill me if anybody finds out.
uh, well, before we get started with any news today, Kits, because Kit Hugh is right here on the chat with us, if you have the time, I would really recommend that you go read his latest article on the Dean Blundell website
Oh yeah, that
titled
was good.
Ontario is on the Verge of Rebellion. It's the elites versus everyone else. Because well, Hugh knows about history, and he's talking about Montgomery's Tavern as the rallying point for the Upper Canada Rebellion of 1837. And I will just leave that as a teaser to show a
Mhm.
little leg, because if you're a history buff, you might like this because he brings it home as to how it applies today and Family Compact 2.0. So
It's a good
just,
article. It's really
yeah,
good. It's really good.
just
Oh,
showing a little leg.
I've got something for you that you actually retweeted earlier. Yeah,
Oh,
it's I think you'll recognize this the minute I put it up. Here we go.
oh,
Oh,
yes.
yes. Dr.
I want to.
Smith, seen here, about to say something incredibly stupid, met with the Treaty 6 chiefs yesterday, and they had this to say, which I will now translate for you.
I love this.
It was clear from their discussion that Dr. Smith has absolutely no fucking clue what it is she's talking about. Nor does she even have a fucking clue about not having a fucking clue. And
Word.
you can shove your Sovereignty Act up your ass. Signed, Treaty 6 Chiefs.
Yep.
It's like
I saw.
he's like, I'll translate for you.
Right. from bullshit to English
Yes.
translation. Yeah. I saw I heard it on it was on December 13th. A clip passed through my Twitter of her
Mhm.
saying, "This is all about ensuring that Ottawa stays out of our jurisdiction. I've told the chiefs I've spoken with that they have fought a battle over the last years to get sovereignty respected and extract themselves from the paternalistic Indian Act. We get treated the same way by Ottawa. They always interfere in our jurisdiction, and we look forward to pushing back and being treated exactly like Quebec."
Yeah,
And as
this is
soon as I heard that, I thought, "Oh, girl, cue the apology. Here it comes. Here, clear. Yeah, zip it. You and your shitty domestic terrorist party are no longer taken seriously." But and I wanted to tweet that. I actually wanted to tweet like, "Okay, cue apology and clarification in 3, 2, 1." And I figured, well, there's no point in doing that because she already did that once and it didn't really work out well for her. So she's probably just gonna just bulldoze through it. Well, sure enough,
Mhm.
yesterday
Her
she's
non-apology
all over
apology.
the oh yeah, she's all over the place, just saying that. and and the worst part is that uh, uh, I mean, it's she didn't even apologize. Like, she did that apology that we always really makes us pull our hair out, right? That makes us
Mhm.
cringe. Anyway, she turns around and says, when the last time she did it, right, she came out and said, "Oh, I did not intend," and we actually, titled our episode talking about that, called "I Did Not Intend." Well, then yesterday she went back to clarify her remarks and quote unquote apologize, which she really didn't do, and she once again went back to "I did not intend." "I intended to demonstrate that the process that our First Nations have gone through to develop sovereignty over their affairs and extracted themselves from the Indian Act is the process that we are following and going through and asserting our rights under the Constitution. I take inspiration from what the First Nations have done." I was like, "Oh, girl, please."
Yes, exactly.
I mean, if you're taking inspiration from what they would have done, right, you wouldn't have had people from the Indigenous community like Autumn Eagle Speaker, was one of the co-founders of I Don't Know More, saying, having to like point out that like this is apples and oranges and that they have nothing to do with one another, right?
I
It's like,
have a clip. I have a clip for you. You're gonna love this.
is it of her?
Um, no, but it completely relates to everything she says and does. I don't know if you've seen this, but just
I've not seen this.
okay.
I'm delighted to be joined by a member of the Chinese community as I apologise for using the phrase Chinese whispers. I appreciate that this is deeply offensive to the Chinese. I completely understand why they went totally mental. I'm delighted to be joined by a mental health campaigner to witness my apology for using the phrase "they've gone mental." I see some of you are surprised that I'm apologising, but gone are the days when getting an apology out of me was like getting a fiver out of an Aberdonian, eh? I would like to apologise to the largest Aberdonian community, the Aberdonians. I do understand that Aberdonian feelings are important. Surprised, actually, that our diversity officer didn't make that clear to me. Honestly, sometimes around here it's like the blind leading the blind. I would like to apologise to Scotland's blind community. I hear your concerns, and I promise you they will not fall on deaf ears. I would like to apologise to the deaf community. I would like to say sorry. When I realised what I'd said, honestly, I had a fit. I apologise unreservedly. All of the epileptics in Scotland for my use of the word fit. I completely understand why you've got a bee in your bonnet. I would like to apologise to anyone connected with bees or the wider bee community. Bees, indeed, are a vital part of society. I tried my best to get to a statement that wouldn't offend anyone. I really did. But do you know, when me and my advisors get together, honestly, it's like two bald men fighting over a comb.
Oh no!
I would like to apologise to Scotland's bald community, of which I am a member. I would like to apologise and exonerate myself. Chief, I'm sorry. Chief, you're forgiven. I was particularly pleased with my final apology because I could apologise and accept the apology at the same time.
That is brilliant.
Right? And here's the thing, that's Daniel Smith.
Oh,
That's
my
why
word.
it's a skit from a British TV show, but it is just brilliantly done.
Oh, my God.
Brilliantly done.
Oh, my word. So yeah, she is like suffering from major foot and mouth disease. Now, like, here's my thing with her, right? Half of me believes that she really is that dumb and obtuse,
Hmm.
and the other half of me believes that she just doesn't care. She says it, I guess, and she knows she's going to have to do this apology thing afterwards. But the
Oh yeah.
important part to her is that she gets it out in the first place, right? Because she hands the red meat and people get it, and then they turn around and say, "Oh well, there's a segment of that segment of the community that turns around and says, well, they forced her to apologize, or they made her to apologize, or she just said what she needed to say to get to move on like this." But we know, right? It's that wink, right? She keeps on
Mhm.
reinforcing that because you cannot keep on making this mistake,
Nope.
right?
Nope.
Like and not be aware. I mean, you can't. You compared the unvaccinated by choice to, I don't want to say classically discriminated against groups, but I mean
Yeah.
all the isms that have ever existed in history, and say that this is the most discriminated group you've ever met. And a day and a half later, you're clarifying and apologizing. Then you come back out like less than a month later and compare and I mean, the MLA from Edmonton, Rutherford. His name is Indigenous Relations critic Richard Feehan. Turned around and, I mean, the comment was just so, excuse the language, from dropping the first F bomb of the morning, fucking ignorant.
Oh yeah.
He goes, and Ingela just let her know as much. He said, Indigenous people within Alberta and across the province have faced genocide through abuse in residential schools, the pass system, the 60s scoop, and countless community members who are murdered and missing. Indigenous people are still tirelessly fighting to preserve their culture, language, and existence. To compare her fights with Ottawa over issues like fertilizer policy is a complete failure to understand the atrocities Indigenous people have suffered. It's like
Can you say
you put
tone
sanctions
deaf?
on for nitrogen for fertilizer from Russia, and you were the only country in the G20 to do it like this. That's that's exactly what the Indigenous people of Canada have suffered. It's the same thing. Oh, sweetie.
She's a Cupid stunt.
Cupid stunt.
You're welcome.
Human bunt cake.
I'm back in talk words.
So yeah, open mouth, insert foot, fall flat on face, and then
Mhm.
she did that thing, right, Mr. Speaker? That certainly was not the intention of my comments. If it was taken that way, I apologize for that. And another instance, if my comments were misconstrued, I apologize because I intended to demonstrate that we have a common problem with Ottawa. Well, first, you don't have a common problem.
Mm.
The problems are nowhere near the same. Second, once again, I say, yeah, girl, you did intend. Because, oops, you did it again. And I'm not sure that there's an oops there. And then third, there are no ifs about it, right? The comments were indeed taken as insulting because they were insulting. Nobody misconstrued your comments. There is only one way to interpret those comments. There's
Oh,
only
there's
one way to
more.
interpret those comments. Nobody misconstrued that. And the rule of number one, like, you can only, let's get this clear on a media and political literacy thing. One can only apologize for things they themselves have done. If
Mhm.
someone else has misconstrued your comments, you can't apologize for other people misunderstanding you. Right? You
Right.
can apologize for not being clear enough that you were understood. You can, but
Right.
you can't apologize for other people misunderstood. You can't apologize for other people being offended. You can apologize for fucking being offensive.
Mhm.
However, so I apologize if you were kids. If then this is a real life thing too. I apologize if you were offended is not an apology.
No, it's not. It's not.
Let's say Danielle Smith should be apologizing for being unenlightened, impertinent, and insensitive that she allowed unbelievably offensive words to emanate out of her frickin' pie hole.
Well,
And yes, as
so
Kit Linda Sim says, apologies mean nothing if they're not met and not learned from, because here's a life lesson. There are 4 components to an apology.
one
The
of
actual
the
words, I'm sorry. Right?
they never did she speak those words.
Actual
One
words, I'm sorry.
the individual last night who
in the-
texted me and said our friend is at the pub. So after we had a chance to visit with the friend, and he went on a diatribe about Danielle Smith. This is a man who deals with international terrorists. He works in counterterrorism. He doesn't talk domestic stuff ever. And he went off on her last night about that exact comment. So that gives you an idea of how much of a Cupid stunt she is and how deep she's cutting people.
Mhm.
This
So-
is a guy who he's concerned with international and domestic terrorists. And he went off on Danielle Smith last night.
So 4 elements to a proper apology. Saying the words, I am sorry. Saying precisely that for which it is you are sorry. So recognizing what you did. Acknowledging the impact of what you did. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I called your mother a tow truck. I realize that this was probably not accurate and hurt your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yes. And then, if you can, atone. This is how I'm going to fix it. Right? And whether or not it can be atoned, this is what I am going to do to show you I'm sorry. How I'm going to change my behavior to ensure I do not do this again.
Mm-hmm.
As Kit Linda says, apologies mean nothing if they're not meant. If all you do is say, I'm sorry, to buy you a couple of weeks or a couple of months until you just do it again, you're not sorry.
Just like this fella.
Right.
I would like to apologize to the entire avian community for my cruel and insensitive words. I'm sorry.
So, yeah. And then, of course, the Treaty 6 Nations, Confederacy of Treaty 6 Nations issued a statement in which it says, she had a meeting with us about the Alberta Sovereignty Act. I'm guessing one where she talked at them and explained to the chiefs that, because I really sympathize with your plight because, we've been through the same thing. Oh, because they're probably looking at her like, you could probably hear the crickets in the room, right? Because there's probably not a sound in the room while she was saying that, because they will sit and listen respectfully. and then the meeting's over and it's like, can you believe this? Anyway, the Treaty 6 chiefs would like to clarify that while Premier Danielle Smith did meet with Treaty 6 chiefs today, this does not in any way or sense constitute her duty to consult about any matters of mutual concern. After which it said, it was clear from our discussions that Premier Smith does not understand treaty or our inherent rights, nor does she respect them. Adding that, the Premier will not dictate how we will be consultant. We point her, once again, to the duty to consult to learn more about how to engage and work with us appropriately. They are being very kind.
Very.
Because I'd be sitting there, girl, go run an ultra marathon off the world's shortest pier, and may I buy you a pair of shoes? Man, she is a piece of work. I mean, and this is everything all the time in order to be able to weave this narrative, this methodological narrative that Albertans are the constant and perpetual victim of Ottawa. Right? I don't understand why people want to be the victim all the time. This is
what
getting
is
really
it?
annoying.
Is it like a Stockholm Syndrome thing? I just don't understand. I don't get it. Why would anyone want to willingly, not just willingly, but choose to continually be a victim?
And why would you want that to, in the story you tell about yourself?
Mm.
right? And again, this again is also a personal life thing, right? Yeah, Hugh says for First Nations, Métis and Inuit folks, this is called Tuesday.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
but you know, social, right? You're meeting people for the first time. You're going on first dates. You're going on job interviews. You know, all these things that you're doing because and people are asking you about yourself. If you are always, when you're talking about yourself, the victim in your story,
Mm-hmm.
that's not appealing.
No, no, it's not.
Doesn't make you the kind of person people want to be around.
Not endearing.
If you're the person to whom life happens, that's
Yeah.
so in politics, to represent a group of people, I mean, let's put it this way, right? A lot of crap has happened to First Nation, Inuit, and Métis people.
Oh, yeah.
And the story they tell about themselves, yes, while they speak truth about the bad stuff, it's not only the bad stuff. They are champions and they are heroes. There's a whole other set of narratives that comes from that community, where they're the heroes in their stories and the stars of their stories. You can't. It gets old. It really, really gets old. And
I think
there's this
what
tweet here. The
Saucy Sea
conservative.
Witch has I just posted it. I don't know if you see that there.
Oh
What
yes,
Saucy Sea Witch has to say. It's
a
right.
person plays the victim to manipulate others into giving you sympathy or the upper hand.
Like sage advice. Sage. That's right. It's exactly what it is.
If you'll put it up, Mr. Grizzly here.
Sure thing, sir.
The new communications director of the Chaos Party of Canada put out a tweet yesterday. While go ahead, Mr. Grizzly, why don't you read it?
While Trudeau may not like his impact, hang on, I got to blow it up so I can see it better. While Trudeau may not like his impact on this country being criticized by the leader of the official opposition, Canadians are tired of having a prime minister who continuously talks down to them and increasingly relegates those who oppose him as, in quotes, unacceptable.
To which my response was, nope. Canadians are just tired of the constant victim framing and pity party. You are not oppressed. You're just sucky humans who wish to impose bad policies, and you lie, cheat, and demonize because you know that if you spoke truth about what it is you want, you'd have even less support.
Well, Skippy went off yesterday in his speech to the caucus just before the holiday break, or the winter break, I guess they call it. How he so I'm quoting from the CTV article.
Okay.
In a speech to his caucus ahead of the holidays, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre said Pierre Poilievre said it is his party's job to stand on the side of the common people.
Oh, Lord.
Ahead of a closed-door meeting, Poilievre spoke to Conservative parliamentarians in front of the media, telling his MPs and senators that is their job as his official opposition to always stand on the side of the common people. You fucking elitist piece of shit. The Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, stands with Canadians. This lame duck asshole gatekeeper elitist snot who's never held a real job in his life because all he's ever been is a parliamentarian who qualified for an indexed lifetime pension at 31 thinks he knows something about the common people. I want to live with the common people. I want to be like common people will be. And I love the pulp version, but the one by William Shatner I love even better.
Oh, yes.
Right?
I've heard
because
that.
it's Joe Jackson. Is it Joe Jackson? I think that sings the refrain, and I've never heard him sing like that before.
Okay.
With like anger, he just rips it in there.
Yep. And while Skippy was doing his, the Prime Minister did a similar speech. for a Liberal faithful before going off for the Christmas break. It was about a 20-minute speech in which he took on Peter Poppinfresh.
Pop and Jay.
No!
Peter Pop and Jay.
Nose. Yeah, Pop and Jay as well. Claim that Canada is broken, to which the Prime Minister refuted that. Canada is not broken at all. And did something that Liberals almost never do. Went through a list of accomplishments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Progressives are horrible at doing that.
Well, and it's because I would like to think that we don't like the idea of tooting our own horn. But as I was talking to you earlier about that, you have to do it today because no one else will do it. You
Right.
have to toot your own horn. And as foreign of an idea as that is to myself, I've done it in the workplace because somebody
You were
said,
telling me about that.
if you don't do it, it's not going to happen.
Would
So
people
when
give you a good comment?
you need to tell your bosses, when you get those comments, you have to tell your bosses because if you don't, they'll never know it and they don't know how your job is going. So when you get positive comments, when you do something good, as foreign as an idea is, you have to toot your own horn. And it's weird and it troubles me, but it's necessary. When you do something good and somebody tells you that was a good job, you need to let people know you did a good job by using somebody else's words, not your own.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. You forward that compliment to your boss. I received this today.
Exactly. You're humble about it, but you need to let people know because if you don't, nobody's going to recognize it.
Yep.
So, like you say, for the Liberal Party of Canada to do that, it's really foreign ideology to progressives to say, look what we've done. Here's what we've done. These are our accomplishments.
Yeah,
It's
because
not
conservatives do it
something
all the time.
all the time, and they do it over like literally nothing most of the time. And every now and then they try and take credit where there is no credit, like all that money lost for fraud because of CERB, that could have been put towards dental care and health care and child care, none of which they voted for. They
Right.
all voted against.
Right.
That, my friends, is what we call virtue signaling.
Mm-hmm. As Kit Linda says, I think it's more that they see it as simply having done the job that they were sent to do, but they have to make sure people know about it because others are always saying that it's not enough. And it's true. It's like I said, and this is one of the rules of PR. You not only have to do the thing, you have to be seen doing the thing.
Yes. Yeah. It's yes. And it's troublesome to have to tell people, look, here's what I did. Because, those of us who believe that our work should stand on its own merit,
right,
are not comfortable with the idea of saying, here's the good I did. But you have to. You have to.
Yep. Yeah, everybody has to do their own publicity now.
Well, and here's what Saucy Sea Witch Reese says. That sad part of the CERB thing is that even the people who didn't qualify probably still needed it. And that is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Something else, one of my friends said to me the other day, he says, look, it was funny how when the whole world shut down and they came up with CERB and emergency payments and they said, look, we're going to get the money out there, period. We know there's going to be mistakes made. We know that there will be fraud. We know this. But every party said, yeah, you're right. It's do the right thing. Get the money out there. Get it to people right now. Every party supported it.
Yep. But
all of a sudden, 2 years later, after the audits have been done, look at what you did. You wasted money there. You wasted money there. People who didn't deserve the money took the money. What are you going to do to get the money back? Well, it's called taxes, my friend. And when you file, they will say, oh, yeah, by the way, you owe us this much. And we're going to get it from you. We're going to get it back. Mm-hmm. And, of course, you do remember the individual who wrote the story about, a friend of mine who has a horse farm has applied for CERB for all his horses, and he got the money. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. That is a bald-faced lie. And I apologize to bald people everywhere, as I am too bald. But
well played, sir. Well played.
Thank you. It's a lie because the only way to get CERB was you had to have a bank account and file taxes. You had to have a tax return from the previous year.
Secretariat is going to the TD on week.
Horses don't have tax returns or bank accounts, so that's not a thing. It
Can you
didn't
imagine
happen.
going to the bank the second? How many hundred would you want today? And you see the hoof going 1, 2.
So, my dear friend, Rastaman, I don't like to say people's real names on here because I haven't got consent to do so. But my good buddy Rastaman, an old friend of mine, he lost his eyesight due to macular degeneration when he was about 15.
Okay.
So he's legally blind. He has maybe he sees shapes and shadows, and he actually says he sees better at night than in the daytime. Which okay. So one day he was walking along and walked right into a sign, and it split his forehead. He walked right into the metal signpost, split his forehead. He bled terribly, and 2 days later he was walking along and didn't see a ledge, fell over the ledge, and dropped onto a ramp for a down ramp. Almost killed him. He was seriously injured. So he's like, "That's it. I'm going to have to get a dog." Because he has the walking stick, but he hated using it because he doesn't like to admit the fact that he has a mobility issue. So anyway, he got a dog, and he's had a couple of them. And after a few years, they retire them, and he usually adopts the dog himself.
Right.
Or a family member will take the dog. So he was out here one day, and he goes, and he was different. Like a lot of people with their working animals don't show any sort of kindness and compassion. It's just, that's my employee sort of thing, and they treat them. I'm not saying everybody's like that, but I've seen some people. He wasn't like that. He goes, yes, when the dog is working, but my dog will always chill out. Like, comes to the pub, he's got his dog with him. Dog just chills at his feet the whole time at the pub, and people bring him water and snacks and treats and whatever. And he's like, no, you can pet him. You can give him a snack. No, he's cool. He's cool. He says, but my dog is really smart. I go, really? He goes, yeah, he can count. I go, what? Totally, dude. My dog can count. Check this out. How many balls do you have? See? He goes, he'll tap out what he has, right? He'll tap out a number. He taps with his paw. See? He doesn't do anything. It's good, right? Okay, I got to grab a coffee. I'll be right back.
Okay. So Kits, there's anyway, he's got away, but when he comes back, I hope somebody reminds me to talk about the dog thing. Okay, so Kits, just remind me so I don't forget. Let's see. So yes. Oh well, there he goes. Here he's back. Anyway, I'll keep. I will just wait for him to come back and put those headphones on. There you go. I got something for you because as soon as you said that, you made me think of something.
Okay.
And this one, you're talking about smart dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. Here we go. Here's one for you.
Okay. Just hit the blow up there and press play.
All right.
Downward dog. Doing the yoga. I love it. Oh my goodness.
Right?
That last bit was just brilliant.
Okay. Listen, oh my God, if a beaver could have a dog, I want this one. Isn't that the coolest thing?
Oh yeah. Well, I saw one the other day where a gentleman says a fella had broken his ankle. So he was limping around the house, and he goes, my dogs are making fun of me. And he has two huskies, and both of them are walking with one paw up, sort of limping. I'm like, oh my God, that's priceless.
Oh man. Okay, so the Prime Minister did deliver that speech, and went through some things, accomplishments. Apparently, thanks, for example, to the childcare program, 82% of Canadian women aged 25 to 54 are employed, and that's record high. among all the other things. But that was like the most recent statistic. And there's a video of it on the CTV's YouTube site. I looked for it at other places. The audio is horrible. The video freezes a couple of times in the beginning. But if you can handle all that kind of stuff, it actually is a pretty darn good speech. And the Prime Minister, did that thing that he does very well. It's Canada's not broken. And, it's not broken when you see people, with chainsaws helping to clean up after Fiona. It's not broken when you see, and just all the various things, right? And some of the accomplishments and things that Canadians do. And was, I talk often about tone and countertone.
Mm-hmm.
And this is it, Peter P. Staines is very much on the negative side, right? Debbie Downer, Negative Nancy,
Mm-hmm.
Wendy Weiner. I don't know why all of them are women's names for some reason. But anyway,
What me?
yeah. But all of them combined, right? He's basically our national Karen.
Oh, yes.
And he's basically going around telling us why it is that Canada sucks all the time.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. But this is, if you ever wanted a Sunny Ways 2.0, he's the guy against to do it because he has nothing positive to say.
Nothing at all.
I don't know how he's going, if his next 3 years is going to be, just telling us how we suck. I'm not sure. He's going to need another act. Let's just put it that way, because that's, again, being the person in your narrative who life always happens to and is the victim, as we're coming full circle, is not a very attractive marketing strategy. Right?
No, not at all.
It's just like you're going to go from being the Chaos Party of Canada to being the Sad Sack Party of Canada. I'm not sure people want to vote for sad sacks.
Definitely not.
Yeah. All right. In some other, today in Stupid, first we did Danielle. The second one is, Cabinet Minister, Mary Ng. She's the Minister of International Trade, Export Promotion, Small Business, and Economic Development. We've talked about her before in our early podcasts, I think before we joined the network, near the end of not first year, but in the first year, around the end of the year. We were going through members of Trudeau's cabinet at the time and, giving some brickbats and bouquets. And I had made the comment at that time that he could probably do better than her.
Yes.
And we got lots of comments because, well, she's a very nice lady, and I know her, and she's an effective MP and constituency, representative, and that's fine. But she had very, very, very poor communication skills. Was not able. I think we even played clips. We may have played clips or done quotes where she was asked about stuff, and she just kept on robot repeating, coming back to the media lines. Things. So if she had to go outside the media lines, think for herself, speak extemporaneously on a subject she was being asked about, she didn't have that. She really had that, the bad kind of message discipline. Here are my media lines, and whatever the question is, I'm going to try and find a way to work this media line in rather than actually answering the question. So at that point, just based on that alone, considering that, there are a lot of stars in his cabinet, he could probably do better. And that, she should need some time. Well, she did go and get herself some media training, which was a good idea. The problem is that she did it the wrong way.
Are we shocked?
Well, yeah, I am, because for all the things that the narratives that the Conservatives are trying to spin, that this government is corrupt and, unethical beyond belief, reminding everyone that there was no such thing as a conflict of interest law before 2006 when Stephen Harper brought it in, and despite the fact he had a conflict of interest law, Mike Duffy in and out, Bruce Carson, Anna Thur Porter, none of them got him an ethics sanction. People went to jail
hmm
in
as they
his
should.
parliament, but none of them got a $500 fine from the ethics commissioner. Right. So they're all going crazy. Well, sorry, not crazy. Sorry. They're all overreaching. And you had John Ivison, you know, who never met a liberal breathing the wrong way that he couldn't spin as being an affront to Canada.
Of course.
Basically saying, well, the prime minister surely couldn't have asked her to resign because, his own ethics thing is like the rap sheet is like as long as his arm. And it's like, again, do you remember the Harponesia is a very powerful thing? Do you remember who you were shilling for? So we're talking about a government that hasn't even had a police investigation that we've known of, right? In 7 years, versus a government that's been to trial, had charges, that there are people in their administration, like Senator Don Meredith, who are still being charged today for things that they've done then. So they're the gift that keeps on giving. But in 20, basically conservative MP James Bazan wrote a letter to the ethics commissioner about a media training contract that she got for herself in 2020. It was awarded on April 8th, 2020 for the amount of $16,950. And the reason for which she wrote to the ethics commissioner is that the contract was offered to a company called Pomp and Circumstance, which, if you are a watcher of CBC's Power and Politics, it's the name of a company you know, because Amanda Alvaro, who's a frequent panelist, that's the company that she's founded. Or maybe co-founded, but she runs it. Well, the contract was given to her. Mary Ng and Amanda Alvaro have been friends for about 20 years, and Amanda Alvaro even volunteered as a spokesperson for her campaign in 2017. Mary Ng, if you remember, joined the Liberal government after John McCallum put his foot in his mouth a couple of times on China.
Oh, yeah.
Like this, and had to go, and then there was a by-election. Oh, no, wait a minute. No, he didn't. No, not after he put his, no, he did that after he left. He was appointed ambassador to China, and that's when he put his foot in his mouth a few times. But she came in the by-election, and she won that. And then not too long after, she became minister, and then she got shuffled to another ministerial portfolio, or not more shuffled, but more responsibilities were at, because I think she was just the minister for small business, and then she got the rest of the stuff afterwards in a shuffle. And apparently she's very, very good friends with Katie Telford, who's, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's, essentially, I think she's his chief of staff now.
Yes, and
the role
she's
that Jerry
awesome.
Butts used to have.
She's awesome. Yeah. I really like her. And a lot of people, try and chew her up and spit her out. I'm like, oh, I think you come for the queen. You best be prepared, because she will tear you a new one.
Mm-hmm. So, and then during the course of that investigation, there was another contract, not that was discovered, but that ended up being part of that investigation, because in 2019, on March 26th, there was an initial contract of $5,840 also awarded to Pomp and Circumstance for a member of her staff. That needed some media training. But it was, in all fairness, it was Minister Ng that had disclosed that proactively to the ethics commissioner while he was looking into it. And that was already on the public record. She had mentioned it before in public statements.
Right.
But basically had that all included at the same time. Now, she's had 6 such contracts over the course of the time, and and some around that same time, and some went to other companies and whatnot. So there was no obvious favoritism. There was no communication between her and the people to whom the contract was being awarded, or the people who were doing the awarding of the contract within her staff and her on the first one. So this is all to her credit. But on the second one, however, which again was April 8th, 2020, that was immediately, like within weeks of the first shutdown. the initial shutdown to the COVID
Yes.
pandemic. And apparently requests to her office had increased sixfold. So she was talking to Amanda Alvar on the phone and said, I need some help with some stuff. And then from that point on, nothing else was discussed between them. But basically the contract that came out of that was pretty much a lot of the things that they had talked about on the phone. So this starts to get a little stickier.
A little bit.
And
I'm not
so
distracted. I've just got 3 laptops on the go and a desktop and 2
no
phones.
worries. So basically, the ethics commissioner, Mario Dion, ruled that she did, in fact, violate the ethics code in this case because, basically they'd known each other for over 20 years and they're very much involved to each other's life. And, with previous things, with the Prime Minister's visit to the Aga Khan's Island and Bill Morneau, with other things, he had an ethics violation. The definition of friends, or what a friendship is being fleshed out and for the purposes of the act. And so
I want to say thanks to Johnny Cohn.
Okay. Johnny Cohn, just wanted to say thank you. I've been listening since day one, and I really enjoy your insights, the information you provide, and the ability to give us context when needed. Much love from Kingston. Hey, Kingston, way to go. Thank you, Johnny Cohn. Thank you, Kid Johnny. Really, really appreciate that compliment. It means a lot. And thank you for helping us toot our own horn.
Did you get the email? I
Yes,
forwarded you an email.
I was going to include that too at some point.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yep. So here's the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ethics commissioner ruled that even in the case of COVID, even in the case of an emergency such as that, it's not good enough to justify giving a contract to a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And because it had been done on 2019, right? And she still gave a contract to a friend when there wasn't COVID. Said, but you can't really create an excuse for the second one because this behavior has been done before. Like when it wasn't an emergency. So you probably had time to think about it. Now, here's the thing. When you've been a minister for 4 years and you still don't know that you shouldn't give a contract to someone who's been in your life for 20 years, you've seen each other's children grown up.
Yeah.
That's, and on the heels, this is coming out, of course, on the heels of the C-21 amendment flub. These are 2 gifts, unforced errors, gifts that they just handed to the Conservative Party. She might be likable. She might be an effective minister for those who think that that's the case. But this is a junior mistake.
Oh, goodness, yes.
It's so obviously egregious. And it's not the amount. And it's not that there was anything untoward. It's not that she was directing all the contracts, right? There were 6 contracts, some for larger, whatnot, for media training in her office throughout the entire time she's been minister. Like only 2 of them went to her. Others went to other companies. There didn't seem to be different criteria, all that type of stuff. And I can understand, there's an emergency situation. You're talking to your friend and you say, I need some advice. And okay, let's do that. And it's very quick. But it's not how you do it. And certainly not 4 years in, right? The whole team, and this is a thing that, the Prime Minister said in his speech the other day, right, when he was talking about the by-election in Mississauga Lakeshore, for which Pierre didn't show up at all. And he said, he didn't show up because his handlers probably told them, that, it wasn't going to look well and he didn't want to wear it. And he says, believe me, whether things go well or whether things go bad, when you're the leader, you wear it. Trust me. I know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, when someone on team makes, I don't want to say selfish, but makes an unforced error of this magnitude that is going to affect the entire team. And it's such an egregious mistake that even the emergence of a global pandemic of the novel virus that's killing people isn't justification enough to say that this was a big enough emergency that you can bypass this step. You need to do some time in the political sin bin. you just need to. And for John Ivison, who's comparing, right, the two ethical lapses from the Prime Minister with regard to SNC Lavalin and with regard to the Aga Khan Foundation, things that I've said many times, and I've even written it down in a recent article, are not really, it's like the Aga Khan happens to be one of the world's richest men who has his residence on an island that's separated from the airport in Florida.
Yes.
By ocean.
That's right.
It's like, long-term friend, pallbearer at his father's funeral, named honorary Canadian. So, I mean, by Stephen Harper, right? You can't turn around and say, well, he was doing that to angle to get more money. I mean, he's been getting money for the federal government since the 70s, since he started his foundation, no matter who the prime minister of the day has been.
Exactly.
This is the equivalent of going to pick up a friend that shows up at the airport, like sending a car to go pick them up or sending a taxi or paying for it like this. Now, of course, the Aga Khan being one of the richest men, his taxi is a helicopter to bring him to a luxurious estate across the sea. So, I mean, these are things to scale, and it looks horrible, and you're supposed to avoid the optics. But nobody's personally enriching themselves here. The SNC thing was they passed a deferment prosecution agreement law within an omnibus I always say
Omnibus?
ominous instead of omnibus budget bill. And it was poorly written because the deferred prosecution agreement is supposed to be for the Prime Minister and the Cabinet to talk to the Attorney General, not the Minister of Justice. But unfortunately, they happen to be one and the same person in Canada. So, when it's the same person, oh, well, I was wearing my AG hat at this time. Well, okay, so you say, but how do you prove that? Right? There's no way to prove that. But the law was written specifically so that cabinet and politicians could speak to the Attorney General about political considerations to a case. Like, for example, if a company in which the Quebec Pension Fund has 20% of its investment stored and has 1,000 employees who would all lose their pension benefits if the company went, belly up. Maybe we need to do something about that. So the law is written specifically to allow discussions about political considerations when it comes to a legal case, but it didn't have any clear guidelines or guardrails for communicating in a manner that would be transparent. So it's sloppy writing. But again, nobody's personally enriching themselves here.
No.
In this case, this is money changing hands.
Well,
this is our money changing hands.
Let's recall this video from 2015 prior to the Prime Minister, prior to his election. And this is the Aga Khan greeting people, right? Formal, very formal handshake. Big hug. Big heartfelt hug, right? Why? Long-time family friend. He's like an uncle to him. Like the Queen was an aunt to him. He's known these people his entire life. That's not how you just greet a random person. That is a close personal friend, right? That's a close personal friend.
Right, exactly. But there are those ethical lapses, right? There are process things, okay, he probably, like the first one, it's like, well, everybody knows we have this relationship. So, I mean, it's not like I got to declare it. It's everywhere, all over the public record, but yes, still you have to declare it, right? Oops. Okay. But in this case, this is money changing hands. This is another level.
Yes.
So when you add ineffective communication with making this type of error that costs the whole team, that hands a gift to the opposition, it doesn't warrant, because again, to her credit, she wasn't involved in the specific decision making. There was no communication back and forth. She apologized unreservedly. She brought the 2019 information to the ethics commissioner herself because it was already on the public record. She went and did the search and brought that to him. So it's not like she's trying to hide anything. So it doesn't deserve a public dressing down. But if there's going to be a shuffle in the new year of some kind for an adjustment, it may be a good moment to give somebody on the backbench, a female MP on the backbench who has proved herself deserving over the past few years, an opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
It's Yeah, as Kit Bruce says, marrying lover, but what the fuck? And that's basically it. It's a what the fuck, because you know better. And that was the most damaging line. It's like there's no excuse, and you should know better. It's what the ethics commissioner said. So again, you can't be doing these things at this level. You can't be doing these things. So I mean, these are two own goals coming out in the light within the space of a few weeks. It's not good.
No.
It's not good. So there you go.
To the point that Ree just made here, Saucy C. Witch just made here, they always try and make him out to be just a drama teacher. He taught one semester of drama. He was a maths teacher. Math. He taught math. That was what he taught. He did one semester as a drama teacher, and everybody has to blow it up like that's the only thing. And the thing is, and this is where it gets interesting, repeat the lie often enough, it becomes the truth. Well, it's not a lie, it's truth. He did teach drama, but they seem to have convinced millions of Canadians that's all he ever did. Like, no, that's not the case. He taught math. He taught one semester of drama, but they've convinced millions of Canadians that all he ever taught was drama. And it's like, look, we're always about facts on this show. Facts first. Truth is paramount.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody quotes out that our Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, is a high school dropout, I say, no, he was not a high school dropout. He graduated high school. He dropped out of college. There is a difference, and it's important because facts matter.
Yep.
This is another fact.
Yeah. And since we're on that fact, right? Because I was reading in the comments also on the video, it's like, how did this person who didn't do much more than graduate high school? Basically is like that. They were saying that was the only education. Trudeau has a Bachelor of Arts degree in Literature from McGill University and a Bachelor of Education degree from the University of British Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So he has 2 bachelor degrees.
But they never say that,
Right.
He also was a snowboard instructor, and he worked as a bouncer as well.
Yes. So he's actually worked with common people. Like he's had parent-teacher meetings. Right?
Yes.
From 2002 to 2004, he studied engineering at École Polytechnique de Montréal, affiliated with the University of Montreal, but did not graduate. He started a master's degree in environmental geography at McGill, but withdrew from the program to seek public office.
Well, and
he doesn't have just a little bit more than high school. He has 2 bachelor's degree, 2 years of an engineering degree, and starting of a master's degree that he had to stop because he was basically tapped on the shoulder and said, "We need you."
Yes.
Ignatieff, come.
Well, and they seem to, they go on about elitist when he worked a common people job. So they shit on elitists, and then they shit on common people because they made fun of who's the member of parliament in Edmonton who was a bus driver, and they shit on him for that. I'm like,
Sohi.
Thank you. It's like, what? Like, you can't fucking win with these people.
No, you can't. You can't.
You can't.
No.
You're either an elitist or you're a knuckle-dragging Neanderthal.
Yeah, and then they always call him the trust fund baby, and it's like I think there was I can't remember where it was. I saw it, but it was like the trust fund was arranged such that he could get a maximum of $40,000 a year out of it up until he hit a certain age.
Right. They're like, well, he drives around in that $1 million car. You mean the Mercedes convertible that his father left him? That one? That car that is 50 years old, that his father left for him in his will? That one? That car that he didn't purchase? That he inherited upon his father's passing? Fuck.
Right. So, but here's the other thing too, right? When they talk about him, about all that virtue signaling, right, on the environment, right? He started a master's degree in environmental geography. Okay, because he had to stop his studies in order to become a politician running for office. It's not virtue signaling if you actually studied it. He's dumb as a bag of hammers if he remembers to put on his pants. You don't get in to the engineering program at École Polytechnique de Montréal. if you the type of person that doesn't remember to put on their pants. And you certainly don't last more than 1 year. You'll probably get booted somewhere along the way in your first year.
Oh, yeah.
And then, right? I mean, it's as we say, right? We keep on pointing sometimes to those 14 signs of fascism, right? And it's like, too smart and, too dumb
Hmm.
to work a toaster, but able to single-handedly control the global price of oil. Criminal, evil mastermind genius, but too dumb to work a toaster.
And he's responsible for global inflation.
Yeah. Anyway,
I get that they're trying to spin a story, but come on, can you stop leaving out facts? Stop
but
it.
the
Stop
facts are
it.
inconvenient.
Of course they are.
That's the problem, and it's like we said before. It all comes back to that same thing that I said about the sour fish comment. If you actually had to try to sell your policies on their merits, you'd get even fewer votes because the policies are bad.
I love Hugh's comment here. One's worth is not determined by their job. It's determined by character. I have a lot of criticism for the PM. His education ain't one of them.
He's clearly someone who cares about education. He certainly tried to get a lot of it for himself.
And then they shit on him for that.
Right. But they shit on him for the childcare program like this. And clearly, right, he is a very involved and engaged father. And I remember during the last election campaign at one point, he had picked up someone's child and had it like this, and he was holding it, and he had that, that thing that you do where you stick out your hip and you put the baby on your hip, but you you tooch your hip out to the side to create the resting space and the shelf for the kid like this. And there were women all over Twitter going, see, this is the guy that's not just like, kissing hands and shaking babies.
No.
He's it's like he knows what he's doing. This is a dad that does this in his real life. You can tell by the hip, you can tell by where his arm is around that kid. You can tell, like, he's not faking this.
Well, I'd met him. Did I tell you that? I met him very briefly for a split second while I was meeting friends at a pub on Preston Street. It's escaping me now. It's like the monastery or the church or something. It's a big beer pub. I can't think of the name of it right now, but I can see it in my mind's eye. And I was crossing the street, and as I crossed the street, at the street light, who drives up on his bike with his daughter in tow? The Prime Minister. One RCMP officer way behind on a bike. And I'm sure there were others circling nearby, of course, because you have to have a security detail. Mm-hmm. But this is pre-COVID, the world going completely bananas.
Right.
And they stopped at the stoplight, and I was like, hey, how's it going? Enjoy your evening. That was the exchange. That was it. Yeah. And I'll say two things. One, he was completely engaged with his daughter because she was talking, Dad, why don't we? And he's like, okay, sweetheart, no problem. And two, he's dreamy.
He is, isn't he?
and of course, everybody's going to shit on me. Oh, you just love Trudeau. And no, I have lots of problems with some of his policies, and I'm vocal about it. Everybody goes, oh, you're just a liberal cuck. No, I'm still pissed at Jean Chrétien for a lot of his policies. Still pissed.
Mm-hmm.
And I always will be. What he did to the military by canceling the EH-101 helicopter contract just because Mulroney bought it cost us $1 billion. That was 900 million penalties, and then you add another 100 million or so, maybe even more, for the amount of time spent trying to keep the Sea King in the air. Each hour it flew required 40 hours of maintenance. We were manufacturing parts for it because they didn't exist anymore, and there was not a pilot in the military that was as old as the aircraft they were flying. I'm still pissed at him for that. I'm still pissed at him for kicking John Nunziata out of the party for simply asking a question.
Yep, that was not okay.
No, that's not democratic. You said you would cancel the GST. Why haven't you canceled it? Kicked him out of the party, disbanded his riding. Nunziata ran basically the very next day as an independent and won hands down.
Yeah.
and now I think he sells Volvos. But I don't know.
Yeah, he tried running for the second one
And it didn't,
again,
yeah.
and he didn't win the second time around.
Oh, and
And then
my sister had interviewed John Nunziata many years ago, and I just want to add to it. And when she interviewed him, he was told by a number of individuals in the party, if you just toe the party line, you could be prime minister one day. Just go. And he goes, I'm not here to toe the party line. I'm here for my constituents. That's the only reason I ran, was to represent the people in my riding and do the best I can for them.
Yeah.
He was not playing the game.
right,
And because he didn't play the game, he got ousted. But in the end, I think he wins because he's a better human being for that.
right.
Oh, wait.
And-
I gotta do the pour.
Oh, here we go. There
Right?
you go.
Doesn't that just, give you that joyful thing?
Oh, Kit Hugh says we just gave him his next thesis for his next article, I'm guessing. And he said, as Douglas can likely attest something, but I couldn't understand the rest because apparently he can't see the screen because he dropped his glasses in the snow while he was writing that. In another thing that I wanted to mention, dumb move, and for Kits, I'm basically going through some stuff, but I happened to write my latest article for the Dean Blundell Network called A Triad of Stupidity, where I talk about Smith and Mary Ng, and now this one from Mr. Jagmeet Singh, because in the last episode you had talked about him making that statement, and when I was re-listening to it, I was about to go somewhere with that, and then we got deviated with another topic.
It
as
happens.
we often do.
Squirrel.
No, but that's fine because we always have another episode, right, to come back to it. Okay, so Jagmeet Singh the other day came out and made the statement that there are certain things about the health crisis that can't be solved by the provinces because the provinces, basically on a human resource level, are basically trying to poach doctors and nurses and other medical staff from other provinces, which might help you out as the province, but just basically it's basically digging a hole to fill a hole somewhere else, right? You still have a hole. So, I mean, it doesn't really do much. Playing musical doctors, throughout provinces doesn't really help the situation overall. But the thing is that as we talked about in the previous show, the health minister, Jean-Yves Duclos, for whom I think we both have an immense amount of respect, is trying to get the provinces to get on the same page, because basically what's going on is that the premiers are saying, give us this money, no strings attached, and the federal government is saying, we want to see what the results you want to achieve are first, and then the cash will come. And specifically with regard to human resources, all right, as we mentioned when the provincial health ministers were meeting with the federal health minister. Now they want to meet with the prime minister specifically. But there were two decision items that ministers were asked to approve. One of them was a pan-Canadian health data strategy, but the second one was a Canadian Health Human Resources Action Plan, which is the specific thing for which Mr. Singh is calling and says for which there needs to be federal action. They were doing it before you called for it, right?
Yeah.
And apparently, according to Minister Duclos, the health ministers and he are way closer to a deal than anybody's letting on. And apparently, it was the premiers who intervened with their health ministers and basically told them at the last minute, "Don't approve anything because we want more money." That's the federal side of the argument. Now, Kits and Canadians are catching on because, as we mentioned, premiers are not spending the money that was allocated to them for health, and they have been doing that for a long time. But we really got to see it really up close during the pandemic while people were dying. That even people dying wasn't enough to motivate them to spend one-time emergency health transfers entirely on health. And they don't want to provide receipts, and they don't want to provide any data on results, and they don't want to pitch into national monitoring programs of any kind in terms of human resources or non-health data. They all just like give us the money and just let us do our thing that is not working
No.
now, right?
No, it is not.
So in the court of public opinion, the premiers are not necessarily winning this fight. People are starting to see through because, I mean, the healthcare dollar dance is something that it's a tale as old as time in terms of Canadian politics, right? We're kind of used to this one. So after a while, we're starting to catch on here. So he comes out on this specific subject and says that this is the one that's serious enough for him to maybe consider pulling back the support on the confidence and supply agreement. And it's like, again, girl,
Stop. Just stop.
right? First of all, right, there's about 3 more years to go in this mandate.
Mm-hmm.
A little less than 3. This. 2, you have 25 seats. And where you sit in the polls at the moment, it doesn't look like you're going to get much more if there was an election held today. You're probably never going to have more power and influence than you have now.
Well,
you are not giving that up when you've got 3 more years on that clock. In the last year, if you're up in the polls a little bit, or if the Liberals are down, you see an opportunity to smell a little blood in the water, you might pull the plug. You might pull the trigger, but not 3 years.
You're not
doing that.
Well, he scored he scored an own goal, and I've got the clip here.
We're going to get to that.
Clip ready to load.
Yeah. The one that got some laughs.
Yep, that's the one. Okay, yeah, I have it loaded. I was
going to load it up myself.
No, I saw you loading it, so I'll pull it up right now. I got it ready to roll whenever you want to.
You're reading my mind, brother. You're reading my mind.
Wavelength.
And then number 3, if you happen to forget, and this is something we mention often on the show when we come to the real politic of the House of Commons as it's currently constituted, the Bloc Québécois has about 31 seats. That's more than 25. So if you won't dance with the Prime Minister, he does have another dance partner. Now, with the Bloc Québécois, there's probably not going to be a semi-formal, supply and confidence agreement because neither party would do it. The Bloc Québécois, PR-wise, would look terrible to its own voters, saying that it made a deal for the longevity of a federal party, and the federal party is signing a deal like that. Well, they all learned when when Dion and Layton signed that tripartite thing.
Oopsie.
Right now, the Conservatives ran for that. Oh my God, they're making a deal with the Separatists. They're selling us all out. And especially, so maybe it wouldn't work so bad now because given that Alberta seems to want to be Quebec, maybe now it would work. But given that you don't want to hand someone that on a platter that they can just run with and milk, right, until the cow you get dust out of the udder. So. Well, come on. I mean, that.
Oh, yeah.
They will. They'll milk that till they get powdered milk. So, so you don't want to hand it. So they wouldn't be. But it's only for supply and confidence motions. So I'm sure that they
toast, man.
Oh yes,
I remember from Ren and Stimpy.
I remember that. Powdered toast, man. Oh my God, I haven't heard that for ages. That brings back memories. So.
I'm a fountain of useless information.
Pardon?
I'm a fountain of useless information.
But it's only on supply and confidence motions, right? So, I mean, I'm sure that the Liberals, having a decent survival instinct, could find a way to include 1 or 2 things on a case-by-case basis to satisfy the Bloc enough to vote for supply. So it's you're not the only game in town, Mr. Singh. That's why you signed the confidence and supply agreement, because you knew he had the choice of 2 dance partners and you wanted to make sure that he danced full time, that he was going steady with you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And that he wasn't playing you against each other. So you made the first move.
Not rocket surgery.
Not rocket surgery. Brilliant strategy from the part of the NDP on this one, to give them some visibility and more credibility and, face time in front of the camera. But the problem is that he keeps on making, like I said, we mentioned this before, is that almost every time that he has the ability or the opportunity to be seen as a statesman working collaboratively with the federal government,
he blows it.
He chooses instead to play the role of the person who must somehow be whipping the federal government to get it to do things it wouldn't do otherwise were it not for him. Which we know is not the case, because it's not like the Liberals want to go down either.
Oh, no.
They have every motivation in the world to respect their agreements and their deals. So on this particular issue of health human resources, when they're actually trying to get the provinces to agree to an action plan, and they won't, saying that the federal government needs to do more, and if we're not happy, we may pull our support, was just the wrong ledge to come out on. It's an empty threat. Nobody takes it seriously. And he just whiffs on it was a pitch right across the plate that he could have hit a home run on. He could have just stood side by side with the prime minister and
was a
said, you know what,
lob.
the premiers are really screwing this up. We have to agree with the federal liberals on that, and we need more, instead
was a
of trying to make it
fastball.
the prime minister's responsibility.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
To solve this. It's not the prime minister's responsibility to solve how the first ministers spend health dollars or choose not to spend health dollars in their province like this. But he is trying to get some accountability to make sure that the dollars that they are receiving from now on are going to the things that they say that they want them for. Because right now there's no guarantee of that. So yesterday in the House of Commons, Mr. Singh decided to start an intervention in a certain way that provoked gales of laughter, not once, but twice. Mr. Crisley, if you please.
Well, member for Burnaby South.
When I'm Prime Minister, I will keep my promises. Now, another promise, let me try again.
Order. Order. Well, member for Burnaby South.
Yes, let me just.
I'm doing my Kermit the Frog drinking Lipton tea thing.
Boy, oh
Ooh,
boy.
we timed that well. That was like synchronized tea drinking.
Synchronized tea drinking.
Give us a gold medal. There's the Olympic event I can finally win.
So just as an aside, I built that space that you just saw. House of Commons in the West Block.
Yep.
I installed I wired that building. I sat in the speaker's chair. I wired up all the desks. Yeah. A lot of work. Long hours, long days. Never again. I can't do that kind of work anymore. My body's too broken. But little aside, just to let the folks know what I've done in my life.
Well, thank you very much for wiring the place so well that we now have material for what we do now.
Who knew?
You were planning ahead.
So it would seem.
File under, you walked right into that one, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, a trio of stupid, just before the Christmas season. So I think that the parliamentarians probably really do need their Christmas break because it's as we say in French, c'est pas fort. Huh? It's not very strong.
No.
Oh boy. In other news, health-wise, as we were mentioning on the previous episode, there's lots going on with the flu. And in British Columbia, the province has launched a flu vaccine blitz. Because there were 6 children who have died of the flu this year already in British Columbia. In Alberta, 1,100 people are hospitalized with flu at the moment. In Manitoba, there have been 7 deaths recently. At CHEO, the CEO, Alex Munter, said that in a typical November, dozens of children sick with the flu may show up and 1 or 2 may be admitted. But this November, hundreds came in and 73 were admitted, and December looks like it will be the same. Provinces are deciding, some provinces are not being transparent about child death rates related to flu, and they're not publishing data for some reason, citing privacy concerns. I'm not sure what the privacy concerns are because it's not like they list the names of the people.
I got to show you something. I got to show you something. Sorry. It's
Okay.
related to what we just spoke about.
Okay.
Here it is. I'm gonna start. You'll see it. So here's the tweet. When I'm prime minister, and then Lori Goldstein, I get the same reaction when I say when I'm Pope. And we're gonna scroll down a little bit to our good friend Dean from Winnipeg.
Oh, no.
What about when you say I'm a credible journalist? Oh, that's priceless.
15 beaver points, Dean. 15 beaver points.
Yep. Oh yeah. You're winning the poll right now, brother.
And Dr. Rod Lynn, who is the head of the pediatric emergency department at a hospital in London, Ontario, said that this kind of information can help inform the public and can be useful to encourage people to seek and listen to public health advice. So it's actually counterproductive to be hiding this data.
Mhm.
Ontario has confirmed 2 flu-related death cases among children, both teens. So over the past decades, on average, the highest number of flu deaths among children in a single year was 13. We have 10 so far already recorded this year, and not all of them that have already happened may be publicly disclosed yet.
Ouch.
And we're not even out of 2022. We still have the whole 2023 part of winter.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there's a ways to go yet.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I know it's again, we sacrificed our grandparents and our elders at the altar of the economy in the first wave, and now we
Mhm.
are sacrificing the children. And I do not understand why there are not protests in this. This is the type of thing for which you hold up a city.
Agreed.
I'm just
Agreed.
get it. It's like we're spending more money than ever. Like, I understand that you're spending more money on buildings. I understand that you're trying to give accreditation to foreign workers. I understand that. But here's an idea. How about we fucking do things to prevent children from taking ill in the first place?
No, that's the bare minimum. That's the bare minimum. You expect them to actually do that? The bare minimum? Like put a piece of cloth over your face. Hey, look at this. I have my hand over my face and you can still hear me.
I am.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll just go back to this one.
Sorry.
Right?
Pro-life my ass. I'm sorry. It's just, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's
That we got to put that on a T-shirt. Pro-life my ass.
probably, yeah. And in China, they're reporting over 2,000 cases per day of COVID now. Things are exploding. And again, as we mentioned on the press show, they're only documenting now or reporting on symptomatic cases because there are so many they can't keep up. And many testing sites have been closed down. And apparently the number of patients in Beijing alone that are seeking treatment has increased 16 times over the course of 1 week. Mike Ryan of the World Health Organization is trying to dispel the myth that China lifted restrictions and then the surge started happening, stating that the explosion of cases in China has started before any easing of the zero COVID policy, stating that the policy itself was not having the impact desired. Beijing is being described pretty much as a ghost town because all the people that were under forced lockdown are either isolating or staying at home because they're afraid of getting it. And in China, about 84% of seniors are vaccinated, but they are only vaccinated with 2 doses. There hasn't been much uptake of the 3rd dose, certainly no bivalent uptake because
No.
Sinovac doesn't have a bivalent and the government of China is not trusting Western vaccines to use them. And Sinovac's, around the time that Omicron emerged, was already being discovered or deemed after research to not be as effective as the Western viruses at trying to keep people from having to go to the hospital or dying. And now we're saying, you might think, oh, well, that's China. And, for some people who are very, very anti-China might be saying, well, you reap what you sow, you're getting what you deserve, haha. But that's a really, 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 really bad attitude, because China is a nation of over 1 billion people.
1.3.
And when a respiratory virus starts spreading rapidly and wildly, as we mentioned before, when it was going worldwide that way, it causes opportunities for mutation. Now, if there are 9 billion people on the planet and about 1.5 billion of them are in China, and a respiratory virus is transmitting in such a way that the mutation factor can happen that much more quickly, exponentially quicker, and diseases travel.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think can be on our shores 6-9 months, a year from now?
Oh, yeah.
All the work that we've just spent the last 3 years doing.
All undone.
Not saying it's going to happen.
Likely
but theoretically, it's very possible, and not like a 5 or 7 or 8% chance, like a solid chance that there could be a mutation that comes from that much transmission.
Oh, yeah.
That needs us to respond in a whole different way. So, if you've got a little bit of breather room at the moment, people, enjoy it, because you never know.
Look, I'll be off to the pub this evening for a beer, and then I'm hosting a wine and cheese this evening. So, I'm hoping this time next year I get to do it again. It's the first time I've had a wine and cheese in a couple of years. I usually do a wine and cheese at Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't been able to for the last couple. This will be the first one. I'm hoping I can do it again next year, but that remains to be seen.
Yep. Yeah. So, if you're going to visit family for the holidays, please enjoy the holidays. Have lots of fun. Hug your loved ones. But before you go, keep monitoring the data, just in case you need to take 1 or 2 extra precautions. All right, kids?
Mhm.
Again, totally selfish, but it's because we love you and we want to keep you around with us.
That's right.
Yeah. All in other news about medical assistance in dying, it was set to expand in March.
Mhm.
The criteria was set to expand to include people with mental illnesses.
Yeah.
And the government, Justice Minister David Lametti, just announced yesterday that excuse me, ooh, I got a hiccup.
Soitney.
that plan is going to be delayed, and we haven't been given a timeline for how long. So at the moment, it's indefinitely, because there are concerns that doctors aren't yet ready to assess who would qualify. And the Justice Minister said, in order for this to work and for Canadians to be on the same page at the same time, I think at the end of the day, we want to be prudent and move in a step-by-step way so that we don't make mistakes. This is going to be very well received. Oh, talk to you later, Hugh. Thank you for joining us so far.
Thanks, brother.
Oh, and thank you also, Kit Johnny. Take care of yourself. You got to get a shovel in your hands and clear out the driveway. Absolutely. And thanks for the warm welcome. I guess this might be your first time joining us on the chat. So
the kids in the chat have all said, welcome to the fam.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we are building a community here, and it's a community of concerned, engaged citizens who seek facts and truth and honest statements about what's going on in our country. And I think that we can have people from either side of the line, right? The center line. We welcome everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Matter of fact, we want to welcome people from the right side so we can have a conversation with them. Now, we will ban anybody who is spewing hate or racism or homophobia or all the bad stuff. We're not going to allow that. But if you want to come in, have a conversation, please add to the chat, add to the fam. and let's get the facts out to Canadians.
Yep.
It's what we
But
want to do.
But also the other thing that we notice on our chat, like I said, we, in our last pub chat in particular, because, we had a moment where we started getting a little personal about certain things.
Mhm.
It's also a community of people who the kits among each other care about each other.
Yes,
Right?
very
You
much
see all the
so.
messages of support for Elaine. You see the messages of support for Kit Ree. You see people sharing, saying that this is a space where they're feeling that they can open up. We have some people that have admitted to being socially awkward, or who are finding a home here, and finding people with whom they can interact. And it lightens the load. It makes life a little easier. It makes life a little sunnier. And we want to be that ray of sunshine. So,
We do. We do.
I mean, sometimes often we bring gloomy and bad news like this, but we want to be
We
a
want
ray
to
of
be.
sunshine. So,
Facts first, right? Facts first.
facts first. So yes, getting back to the MAID issue, I think that this is a very, very wise idea.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I mean, policy wise, it's a wise idea. It's also the right thing. And PR wise, it's also because sometimes you have this type of thing and you say, well, we made a commitment to do this, so let's push forward and do something, anything, because we set this deadline. In this particular case,
That's a hug. That's a hug, Ree. That's a hug.
Yeah, see, this is one of the best chats. It's been a lifeline finding all of you guys. Yep. And this little message back there, I put a different message on the board for you. So
I can't
always
quite
make
read
time
it.
for self-care. Pub chat
Yeah,
Saturday
okay.
at 2 p.m. P.S. Send money.
Pubcast. I'll have a Guinness.
Yes. So,
and
but hold on. I just to
I'll have a
finish this
couple
thought.
surprises too.
Okay, I want to. Yeah, I just want to finish this thought though.
Go.
So yeah, there are times in which in politics and in life and whatnot that a pullback in order to regroup. Oh yes, and in order to regroup to make sure that you are getting things right is the absolute best decision. And I doubt very much that there are going to be very, very, very many people who are going to be sad about this. So I have to give kudos on this one because I was really not looking forward to having to dig and do research and find out about all the ways that this could go wrong.
Well, it's when they talked about expanding it for people like me, I was like, oh, that's not good. That is not good at all. There are other methods, medication, therapy. There are other things we can do. Just saying, you have mental health issues, so why don't you just and we'll do it. The state will do it for you. No. When they talked about it, I flipped my wig. I was disturbed by the idea that somebody who, like me, has this disorder, which is a mental health issue, could suddenly shuffle off this mortal coil in the confines of a hospital just because I couldn't deal with the day I was having. That freaked me out. I mean, that's borderline eugenics. And Hugh, you're the educator amongst us. Wouldn't that be considered borderline eugenics? I mean, it's really disturbing to me. On a deeply personal level, disturbing to me. Because, look, I've had those thoughts. That's what depression does. That's what anxiety and depression do. They give you those thoughts. They lie to you and tell you bullshit all the time. So suddenly having the ability to put an end to those thoughts in a state-sanctioned manner, it scares me. It is not good.
Yeah. I see more kids have joined us. Good morning, Kit PJ. Good morning, Kit Red Leaves. So lovely to see you on the chat today. Just wanted to acknowledge that you were here. Kit Hugh wonders if we might be able to do a pub chat from K-Town one day.
Yeah,
maybe we could. And I'll be there.
Maybe we could set up something at the Toucan.
Yeah, Toucan. He says that he's wondering if the pelican still has the best wings, but I don't actually know what the pelican is, to be totally honest.
I'm not sure. I know what's the one.
But the
It's a
toucan.
It's a limestone building. Oh, it's Kingston. They're all limestone buildings. It's right down on Ontario Street. So if you go down Princess and you turn left, it's sort of kitty corner to the K Rock Center. It's not the K Rock Center anymore. I don't know what the rink is called
Oh,
now. It's
the Red House?
is that what it is? It's a little Irish pub there in the corner.
Might be the Red House.
Yeah, that's a great spot too.
It
I'm
is.
just thinking if we do one in K-Town, I'm thinking the Toucan, only because we can get like a semi-private booth,
Okay.
which we need to control people coming in and out, and
Yep. 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 We'll have to look into that. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe eventually we'll go on tour.
yeah,
Ooh.
maybe we could do it. We could definitely do a Toronto show at some point in time. It's just picking a location. I think we could do maybe. You know what? Let's plan to tour in the summer.
Yes.
Right? Like we'll do a June show somewhere, a July show somewhere, and an August show somewhere as well. So let's say June, July, August, because we'll do the pubcast once a month.
Yes.
Somebody said, "Why don't you do it every Saturday?" I'm like, no, we'll lose the panache. Number one, and number two, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that we love doing it, I can't do it every weekend.
No.
It's like it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
That we love to do, and we love to bring you folks out. But once a month is I think ideal. So 12 a year. June, July, August, we're going to do on the road. We'll figure it out between now and then. We've got a couple of weeks to figure that out.
A couple
weeks. Maybe do a May road tour. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
We'll figure something out. But Kay says, yes, Toucan, I was drunk. Follow your nose. So, yes, the Toucan does have great wings. That is absolutely true. Kit Elaine says, I know a couple places in Windsor you could probably set up.
Oh, okay. I've
good to know.
You know something, Elaine? I've never been to Windsor.
I have
never been to Windsor. I've never been. Well, I've been through Detroit, traveling, but I've never been to Windsor. So, we'll see.
Kit Redleaf asks if we sell coffee mugs. Not yet. We keep on saying that we'll have them soon. But
well, we have T-shirts, of course, and I'll give you the T-shirt link. There it is. But coffee mugs is something we are going to have in the near future. It's just I have a lot of projects on the go right now, so it can be difficult. I'll put the link in the chat there if you want to order a T-shirt. We have a bunch of them. And hang on a second here. There it is.
Oh man, yeah. So yes, but yeah, we are, yes, mugs are in the plan, and they have been for a while. Yes. Actually, we thought we were going to start with mugs originally. That's why we have the couple of samples, and then T-shirts kind of happened. We need a cry cut person. We need a mug that says "Hello, kids."
What's a cry cut?
I love you guys so much.
What is a cry cut?
I do not know.
You got to tell us, Ree. What's a cry cut? I don't know. Critical. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I don't
Mugs
know.
Soon come.
Had we concluded with MAID?
I don't know. We went off on a tangent there.
We did.
Squirrel. Can you tell I have ADHD? Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. I don't think I can afford that, though.
Oh, okay. A machine to make crafts. Okay. Yes. Let's see what else. The national average selling, because you were sending me this thing because we got this news article that said that the average monthly rent in Canada is now over $2,000 a month for the first time ever. You basically sent me a message saying, I'm never moving.
Never moving. Never. I'm never moving.
Yep.
It's a friend of mine, a good friend of mine. He's 3 years from retirement. And the only reason he's sticking, he could retire right now, but he's like, well, he's a federal government employee. And he says, they take your last best 5 years. And he goes, I've been earning more money in the last 2 years than I have ever previous. So I'll stick around for 3 more. When I hit 65, I'm checking out. And his plan was, because he's originally from Kingston, but he most of his family lives in Toronto. And his plan was to move to Toronto. And his sister-in-law sent him a message the other day saying, don't do that. He was like, well, why not? They go, the average rent in Toronto is $2,700 right now. He went, Jesus H. What? He pays $1,000 a month for his 1-bedroom apartment. I pay a little bit more than that. And his sister-in-law said, no, keep your place there. It's very affordable. You can continue to live the life you like to live. You can come down here, take the train or a plane whenever you want. You can fly in, spend a week with us if you want. You can get an Airbnb for 3 or 4 weeks and spend the summer. Like, don't give up your apartment, because you will never be able to find living accommodations for that price in this part of the world ever again. It's gone.
Right. So that's for rent. And as we were mentioning, the prices of rent are going higher because the rising interest rates for houses. The national average selling price for a house is now about $633,000 in Canada, which is down almost $200,000 over the past 9 months. So some people are being able to afford houses because the price is lower, but the interest rate is higher, and banks are stress testing. Well, because you have to qualify, right? And they're stress testing now at a rate of about 7%. This because the bank will always stress test your application at a few percentage points higher than the mortgage rates are now, in case they go up, to see if you can still afford it, because banks don't like to take risks. So the people who still qualify are finding the house is more affordable in terms of base price, even though they're paying more in interest. And if they qualify, well, clearly they can afford it. The interest, because the banks wouldn't have approved them otherwise. In Ontario Cottage Country, the prices are down 30% over the last year, but that's still double the price of 5 years ago. So, I mean, it's still pretty high. In Toronto, shelters are running at full capacity. It's reported that every day in November, an average of about 170 people per day are being turned away. And that's compared to about 30 people at the same time last year. There's a man named Rafi Aaron, who has been a volunteer at shelters for 15 years. And he's quoted as saying, "I'm frightened. It's the first time that I would use that term. It keeps me up at night. You realize at this point that you're not going to be able to keep everyone alive. It's just not possible. You just wished that the mayor and his staff and city staff and counselors in the executive were also up at night with this, because then we would be getting some immediate solutions." And we might need to get ourselves ready as a society to be hearing more and more stories on the news of people freezing on the street at night.
Yeah.
And that's not the Canada I recognize and I've grown to know and love.
Nope. Not at all.
Toronto City Services are stretched, and they say that they are building more than 400 affordable rental units and creating 1,000 new shelter spaces, but they're not coming fast enough, and that's not enough, especially with increased immigration coming. So the supply is not being built fast enough. The housing market is becoming less accessible due to interest rates, which is making the renting market less accessible because there's more demand for it. Just because of price pressures. And then we're adding to that about 500,000 new Canadians or new arrivals every year. This is not, it's not a sustainable course forward. And I'd like
according
to
Dougie, we need to build McMansions for all the immigrants.
Yes. Now, a group of housing advocates called the Women's National Housing and Homelessness Network is behind a human rights claim to try to compel Ottawa to invest more in low-cost housing, because women of course, are the
Mhm.
people least or among one of the least likely groups to be able to afford these skyrocketing increases because of the number of women that are being paid minimum wage. And the right to housing is being recognized in certain laws in Canada, but it is not recognized as a human right yet. And in the laws in which it is recognized, it doesn't force a landlord to rent a unit, but it might be able to force cities to rethink how they do zoning. So that claim is now with the federal housing advocate, who is still deciding how to proceed on it. Um, and it might be a good time to refer kids, in case they missed it the first time, to a conversation we had, I think it was earlier this year, maybe it was late last year, with Dr. David Debaye.
Mhm.
He was very generous. He gave us about 2.5 hours of his time where we talked about the right to housing. He's a doctor of laws, but has a particular interest in housing specifically, and knows a lot. You often refer to the Finland study,
Mhm.
and I believe it's through him or through the research that we've done for that interview that we found out about that.
Right.
Um, it's you might think at first, wow, like a 2.5 hour interview, like that's going to be really, really long. But he's an incredibly engaging person.
Oh, we
And
could
the
have went on
time
for hours.
we,
Like,
we, we
it
still
was
could have gone on. We
yeah.
had to stop ourselves. Uh, he's he's brilliant. He's kind. He's funny. He's affable. He's personable, and he's knowledgeable. So
Mhm.
I'm going to pass the link to it. You
Okay,
here.
I will
Um,
post that in the chat.
Kit Linda says that was a great interview and everybody should listen to it. Um, so yeah, we're going to put it in the chat for you. But if you're looking through our podcast feed, the recording date for that one was April 21st of this year, 2022, and it's called Interview Project Dr. David Debaye on the Right to Housing. Really recommend that you listen to it if you need it. And as Kit Saucy Seawitch says, Nova Scotia has 6,500 families in need of affordable housing. We lost 3,300 homes to short-term rentals. They want the population to double by 2060. Should be a proper shit show.
Mhm.
Yeah. If you're bringing people in, you need some places to house them or else. And apparently the trend now of dual families buying one home is apparently getting more and more popular. So two families pooling money together and they'll be able to afford a home. And what's this quote, Mr. Grizzly? Will you read it?
Yes, amputations are happening, fingers and toes. For
Yeah.
emergency housing in Alberta, people need to be sober and probably open to Jesus' teachings. We just don't know what is happening to these people. Frightening. That is a great example of what we call sarcasm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we'll treat you. Yeah, you got to be sober. And do you love Jesus? Do you love him? Do you love Jesus? Because if you don't love Jesus, we can't help you. Well, you
Well, I'd be
clearly
sitting
never.
there going, if it's going to get my ass warm, I really love Jesus.
Well, the thing is, you clearly have never listened or read Jesus' teachings, because Jesus said, "Take everybody in, help everyone."
Yeah.
Everyone. That means everyone, not just the ones who agree with you. Everyone.
Yeah. I don't recall the love me first and then maybe I'll help you.
Yeah,
I miss
it's
that
not.
line in the Bible.
Yeah, no, no, no,
I did
no.
go to
I went to
Catholic
Catholic
school.
school my whole life, right? Uh, Sunday, we went to mass every Sunday. My mom is a good Irish Catholic woman who did, you know, nowhere did they ever said, refuse those who disagree with you. Refuse those who don't believe in the word of God. Refuse those who are drunk, who are drugged out, who are dirty and poor. Refuse those people. They're not allowed in God's house. That's not what he said. He never said that.
No, not at all. And to the issue of housing, the Bank of Canada recently raised its interest rate, prime I don't know what they call that one again. I keep on calling it the prime rate, but that's the bank. The regular banks, I don't remember what the National Bank of Canada rate is, the name of it off the top of my head. But another 0.5% for a total of 4% this year. That's the 7th time this year that the rates have gone up. There might be this woke Catholicism has to end. Bring back the Crusades. Oh my word.
PJ, that's a killer, man.
Katie Lane says, I taught Sunday school for close to 20 years. Don't recall any of those passages either. So yes, the Bank of Canada raised the rate, its lending rate, the central bank lending rate. That's what it is, central bank lending rate, by 0.5% for a total of 4% this year in increases. That's the 7th increase this year. There seems to be some indication that maybe the rates are slowing down. It was predicted for a long time that there probably would be another one in January. Now there's some people expressing some doubt as to whether or not that would be the case. And the main sign that they're looking for, that they're basing this speculation on, is a change of wording coming from the bank. Whereas before, when they were raising the interest rates, the statement used to read, Governing Council expects that the policy interest rate will need to rise further. Now the wording is, looking ahead, Governing Council will be considering whether the policy interest rate needs to rise further. So, fingers crossed, because, as I mentioned often on this show, my personal mortgage payment has increased over 50% over the course of this year. And I know that my salary has not increased 50% over the course of this year.
Hi.
Yeah. So, yes, if you, I mean, I understand that you need to do what you need to do for inflation, and it would be worse otherwise, but I'm really hoping you can put your foots on your feet on the brakes, your foot on the brake. One foot. See, you can tell I don't drive. It's only one foot on the brake at one time. You don't push down on the brake with both feet at the same time, kids.
Okay, so I've talked about how I have incredibly vivid dreams because of the medication I'm on, and I'm always dreaming that my brakes aren't working in a car that I no longer own, and I have both feet on the brake pedal to the point where I'm gripping the steering wheel and standing up and putting my full body weight on it to stop and I still can't stop. And of course, then I wake up and I wake up freaking out, and then I realize that none of that just happened.
Oh man!
Oh, here's a quick one. I got to throw this one up from Slappy. Slappy, the fellow who's going to be sued into oblivion soon.
Oh,
yeah, I got to throw this one up. I got to throw this one up. This little tweet he put up, and then the immediate response to it is perfect. Mark Slapinski. All I want for Christmas is for Trudeau to be in jail, Poliver to be prime minister, and maybe a new guitar. Am I being reasonable? And the first response is from Scrappy McBuckyball. Wishing you could jail your political opponents says a lot about your commitment to democracy.
I think it's more time for tea. I think it's time for more synchronized tea drinking. Oh man. You know what? With all the time that if they used all the time they spent demanding people go to jail or people apologize to them for slights they perceive, they could make a wonderful world and come up with some actual decent policies.
It's slights they perceive, right? The amount of hate and death threats I got for standing up for my friends and neighbors, trust me, my skin is pretty thick and my shoulders are pretty broad.
I'm surprised there's not a shortage of nails and hammers with all these people nailing themselves to crosses.
What is it my youngest sister always says? I shouldn't say kid sister, but my youngest sister always says, get off the cross. We need the wood.
And the hammer and the nails. And, we need to build houses. Okay. So, come on, people. Holy crap on a cracker. Okay. Mr. Grizzly, I think we have a show. What do you think?
We do. And I gotta get prepped. I got a meeting I gotta attend in shortly. So It's an online meeting, but I still need to be prepped for it. I got to have my armaments ready, doing my job. Oh, I'm going to throw
Absolutely.
up what was it? I had something here. Oh, this is from David Moscrop. I wanted to throw this graphic up
Oh,
real
I love
quick.
him.
If anyone
If
is
anyone-
looking for me, I'll be over here waiting for all the free speech warriors to call out Elon Musk for banning his critics.
Yep.
Once again, David knocking it right out of that park.
Yep. There was yesterday he was all over the web because he's basically called the Streisand effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he was talking about that, and he says, it's like, oh, I love Barbara Streisand and whatnot, and all that did was make me think of that song by Duck Sauce.
Barbara Streisand.
Barbara
Barbara Streisand. Well, I saw Duck Sauce this spring in. Oh, sorry, that was the wrong one. I wanted to put up this. Saw Duck Sauce this, I guess, spring at what's the big music fest in California in the springtime? I'm drawing a
Coachella?
blank. Thank you. I wanted to say Coachella, but I knew that was wrong. Coachella, because it was broadcast live on YouTube. So, and sure enough, Duck Sauce. I'm like, ooh. So I watched the whole Duck Sauce thing. They had a giant inflatable duck behind them, and they were wearing Duck Sauce coats. And one of the DJs is Canadian, BT Dubs.
Yes.
And they played that Barbara Streisand. Of course, the place went nuts, and it was the largest tent I've ever seen in my life. I've seen hangars for blimps that are smaller. The
Wow.
largest tent, and they had the biggest line array. And of course, I'm a sound guy, so the PA system there was mind blowing to me. And I was like, I want to go to Coachella just to see the production.
Right.
I'm sure there's lots of artists I want to see, but the production is what I got to see this stuff, right?
Right.
So maybe this spring we'll see.
Yeah. For those who are not hip to it, Duck Sauce is an electronic music duo. It consists of American DJ Armand van Helden, who is like a big name in his own right.
Genius, yeah.
And Canadian DJ A-Track. So
Out of Montreal, A-Track is, I believe.
Yeah. So I listened to Barbara Streisand, and then just out of fun because I was inspired. And then I thought, it's like, I wonder what else it is they've done. So I looked them up on Wikipedia, and apparently the next song that they had released was called "The Big Bad Wolf." So I decided to listen to it.
And
Now, because we showed the Dolly Parton one with Galantis, and we got the copyright thing, I won't show it. But take an opportunity to go look at the video for the Big Bad Wolf, because I saw that and it was like, I watched it, I was like, did I just see that? It is something else. I will just tell you. Your Eager Beaver recommends. Okay, but it is. You might not be prepared for what it is you're going to see. So that's all.
Okay. I'll give it a go.
I laughed. I was half laughing myself silly and half watching it like, am I really seeing what I'm seeing? And how did they get away with this? But okay, these people really have a very unique sense of humor. Let's just put it that way. So the Big Bad Wolf by Duck Sauce takes them. If you want to treat yourself to a what the moment, that's all in good, clean fun.
Put it in your playlist, folks.
Watch the video.
I got to throw this one up quickly.
Okay.
Real quick. Because I don't know if you saw the other day, Trump said major announcement coming tomorrow. And the announcement was digital trading cards.
Yeah.
That's his major announcement.
Yeah. And you know what? The first thing I thought was when I saw that, it's like, oh, God, I'm relieved they didn't say digital slave trading cards. Because with this bunch... That was the first thought that came to my mind. This is how warped my mind is. Okay.
No, I get you.
Like this. And then I'm like typing up the tweet and I'm thinking, Should I press click on this one? Because I'm not sure if this one's going to get me into trouble or if people are going to get it. And then I pressed click anyway. So maybe there's stuff waiting for me when I go onto my Twitter feed this
Could
morning.
be. Could be. Could be.
Well, kids. Yes, your queen, the queen, all hail Queen Beaver, little lovely kitties. I very much recommend that you put some duck sauce on your cornflakes this morning. All right. Well, kids, that is the end of this episode of Just a Nibble. Well, actually, it's not just a nibble. It's our Not Quite Daily Beaver morning show, our Friday morning bite. We hope that you loved listening to us because we loved making this for you. Because democracy is something that you do. What would I recommend today? Oh, yes. Please make a donation to the Rainbow Railroad. The Rainbow Railroad is an organization that helps gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people living all around the world in countries in which they might be persecuted, like Qatar, for example, to come and to live to safety so that they can live an authentic life. And so they very much deserve your support. If you really like this podcast, you can find us on the Dean Blundell Network. He's such a lovely chap. As well as anywhere as you get all your podcasts featuring a grizzly bear and a beaver. And if you have time, please take the time to listen to the most recent episode of Blackballed with James De Fiore, in which our friend Mr. Grizzly has appeared. They are discussing the 10th anniversary of Sandy Hook. I'm not sure how long I can maintain this queen voice and not break into my regular old voice, but I will do my best to finish. Please share the podcast. We love your feedback. Oh, darn, we didn't get to John's feedback.
Let's throw it in. Let's go. I've got 15 minutes. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Yes. We received a lovely letter from a kit who wrote to us. Hold on, I'm looking for it. Oh, where did you send it to me? And this was really cool for us because I guess it's the second time that we've received a full letter rather than just a comment on Twitter.
Notes or comments. It was like a full-fledged letter, literally.
Yes, there we go. Because the first one was on when we were talking about Remembrance Day, and it was a gentle correction. And we interacted with this person, Kit Dean, and we were able to explain where we were going, and he was able to explain his side, and we came to a mutual agreement. But this one is from Kit Joe, pronouns he him, and he writes, "Hello, Mr. Beaver and Mr. Grizzly. I would just like to start by saying I truly appreciate your podcast and love the work you do. I am always looking forward to the next one. Thank you for being well informed and able to articulate everything you say for your listeners." Now, that alone would have been enough.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that would have been
more than enough to make my day. Like, okay, sunshine, lollipops, rainbows, glitter, the whole thing. With that said, I've had some thoughts running through my head lately that I've wanted out there. 1. PP's infamous breakfast talking about inflation. How much do you want to bet he submitted that as a business expense if he actually paid for it with his taxpayer-funded salary? That would not surprise me at all, to be totally honest. 2, I've been noticing some memes attacking EI and CPP, lumping them in with the carbon tax. I know, not a tax. Thank you, Douglas. You're welcome. That makes me wonder if it's calculated and has me kind of worried that if PP were to somehow become PM, would he try to get people to become apathetic to them so he can raid all those funds for whatever purpose and make himself look like some hero? Well, the EI fund has been raided many times before. CPP might be a little more difficult because it's administered by an arm's length body. But EI, it's a common practice to take the surplus and apply it to other things because EI does go into general revenues. It's not its own separate fund, but CPP is.
And who is responsible for changing that?
I don't remember that.
Jean Chrétien.
Yes. Yeah, because when they were trying to... Yes.
I'm still mad about that.
But did he change that or was that just always general revenue? Because I thought it was always general revenue, but that's when they really started rating it to try and balance it.
He put it into general revenue and then started to rate it. And I disagreed with that right from the get-go because to begin with, EI is not even enough. CERB gives you more.
Yeah. And that surplus would have really come in handy during the pandemic had we left it
You
there.
think? You
Yep.
think?
Yep. 3, I wonder what things might have been like had Belinda Stronach actually won the Conservative leadership all those years ago. I know so many years later, but one can daydream. I wonder too because, I mean, she
A
cared enough
level-headed
about certain
progressive, right?
issues. Well, she cared enough about certain issues to change parties,
Yeah.
and that issue was same-sex marriage.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. It
yeah,
makes you wonder. I think she probably could have steered the party back to the days of Joe Clark,
yeah,
but
I
we'll
think
never
she
know.
might have too. Yeah,
We'll never know.
and 4, I think a subtle way to troll Doug Ford in T-shirt form is to write it as Doug Fraud, F-O-R-D.
F-R-O-D.
Now, we often called him in the early days, if you listen to early day episodes, Doug Fraud, F-R-A-U-D. But yeah, I'd never thought of the F-R-O-D having the same sound.
Well, I occasionally I refer to him as drug fraud.
Yes. Yes, same as well. Same too. I think it's funny, in my biased opinion. Well, sir, we share your bias. That's
do
all
indeed.
about I can think of for now. I probably have tons of other thoughts, but can't think of them now, and time is somewhat limited. But thank you, Douglas, for informing me of so much that I don't quite know about. I think you should put "I will explain it to you" on a shirt. I do say that a lot when I'm on the main
Yeah,
show. And
you
Lachlan
do.
starts going, says, "Well, wait, I'll explain it to you." And thank you, Paul, for your passion and vulnerability and wearing the blue jacket. I am so happy to have discovered you gentlemen and feel just that little bit more knowledgeable about the way things operate here in Canada. Cheers, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Like, really, thank you. Like, genuinely, from the heart, thanks.
Warm fuzzies all over. Thank you. And Kits, please, um, if you want to send us letters, um,
Please do.
like this or gentle corrections like Dean, like please do. Like, it doesn't have to be a quick 3 word comment. We actually care what you want to say. So yeah, please send us that mail and watch how I'm going to do this wonderful segue. And you can do that via our Facebook page, our Twitter feed at TrueEager, and our email as truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. Ain't I smooth? That was smooth.
That's a pretty good segue. Pretty good
That's pretty
segue.
smooth.
Not going to lie.
If you want us to come straight to you, you can subscribe via our pod page, Oh, wait a minute. I have to come back to the voice. If you want to subscribe via our pod page, you can do so via podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver. We had to bring the Queen back with a hyphen between each one of those words. If you really, 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 really enjoy this podcast and wish to encourage us to do more, please, we need your encouragement. We work for tips. Please feel free to buy a cup of coffee for Mr. Grizzly here. Well, it's the weekend. Buy him a coffee and a pint of Guinness. Why not?
Hell yeah.
Let's be generous. Yes. Oh, a mug of hot chocolate and a Caesar for moi via our coffee page at ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver. That's all in lowercase letters in one word. That's coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver. And finally, if you'd rather get something spiffy and fashionable for your money, we do have you covered quite literally with Eager Beaver t-shirts, seasonal Christmas shirts, and Mr. Grizzly Civic tees. Increase your holiday spirit by 19.7%. It's been proven in the laboratory. We would not lie to you. We have designs for everybody from sizes small to 3XL and other designs if you do not want a fabulous and fashionable Christmas tee at the ugly Christmas sweater party. Go to deanblundell.square.site/s/shop to get yourself some fabulous today, because being informed and engaged has never been more fashion, darlings. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver, and particularly Queen Beaver, saying until next time, dear kids, it can be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourselves, and do something this weekend to give yourselves a little extra squeeze of love, because, well, you deserve it. Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of fine wisdom for our lovely kitties to head them off into the weekend?
Be kind, caring, and compassionate to everyone you meet, even the mean people, because they probably need it more than you do. And I know it's difficult to do that, especially when they're screaming in your face about freedom. But we need to show them compassion, not empathy, compassion.
I just think of it this way. Think of it that you're hanging out at a really fun party with all your cool friends, and like there's a whole bunch of people that just came from a party that really sucked, like a fire fest or something.
Mhm.
Yeah. Just pour them a drink. All right. That's our show, Mr. Grizzly. Please roll the credits.
The True North Eager Beaver podcast is an Eager Beaver Mr. Grizzly collaboration. Research, story, and guest curation and copy written by the Eager Beaver. Recording, production, editing, and additional research by Mr. Grizzly. Music courtesy of Ben Sound Royalty Free Music. Once again, thank you to our founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss Fee Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing and CanadianTarot.com. And thank you to Pete Jarvis for our artwork. We love it. Kids, we'll talk to you real soon. Bye.
Take care. That was me in
Mr. Grizzly.
2003 at a platform in Geneva waiting for the train to go to Paris. Yeah, that's what I looked like when I had hair.
You look good as a blonde.
Not bad, eh? Not bad. I got a little soul patch going on there too.
Wow.
It was the early 2000s. I went blonde.
Yeah. I'm going to have to dig up some pictures. I went blonde once too. I'll have to find it at one point.
You must have had to use a lot of dye because you're very dark complexion to begin
And I
with,
could
right?
not swim all summer.
Oh no, it would go green.
Because I was told it would turn green immediately. Not
And it
that I
would.
haven't had green hair in the past as well. But yeah. I'll try and dig them up, and maybe I'll have them for the weekend. All right,
Alrighty.
kids.
2
Join
p.m.
us for
tomorrow.
a pub chat.
Yeah, we'll be
Join us for a pub chat.
live from the Lieutenant's Pump at 361 Elgin Street. If you are in town and want to come down, jump on a mic. If you don't want to be on camera, you don't have to be. We won't put you on camera if you don't want to be, but happy to sit with us, have a nosh, have a beverage, whichever you choose. I'll have my Santa hat on, and we're going to celebrate the season in style.
And if you can't be in Ottawa, but do want to come on the show, please send us a little message at truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com.
I'll send you a link,
Say that
and you
want to
can
be
join
in
us
and,
remotely.
like this, and we'll send you the link to be able to join us to chat for a few minutes. And again, if you don't want to be on camera and you just want to do audio, that's fine too.
That's fine
Come
too.
as you are. Come as you
Exactly.
are. Drop in, drop out. We would love
And
to hear
remember,
from you.
on the pubcast, no politics,
Nope.
no religion.
Nope.
It's just about sitting in the pub, having a chat, having a good time, talking about life, travel stories, all kinds of stuff, but no politics and no religion.
So if everything technology goes well, 2 p.m. Eastern is when we'll be starting, and we look forward to welcoming you with open arms. Okay,
See you then.
now we roll the credits. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum. And the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.